And hello and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Study outside of the schedule, I guess. So I just decided to make this recording separately from streams, and basically then uploaded this recording on AleksTabletops, my YouTube channel. So I noticed that new event appeared, Eldraine Courtside, or hopefully I'm reading it properly, Courtside Brawl. So the cool thing is it gives us basically the ability to play Throne of Eldraine, or Eldraine, I don't know how to properly say it right, yet, in this special event using 1 or 4 pre-constructed decks in our newest format, Brawl. So Brawl is one of the newest formats that will be represented at some point. They promised us this format. So basically this format is kind of similar to Commander, but not necessarily looks like it works a little bit differently on Commander because it focused around standard in most cases. So when the regular Commander, you're able to play all Commander sets like the previous sets, add them into the Commander. So play a deck built around a specific legendary creature or planeswalker / commander, and play one-on-one games. You learn more about Brawl by clicking here. So basically, I believe if we go there, we're going to get the rules about the Brawl, which I'm not going to go through. We'll figure it out during the matches, what we need to do with them. And players will not receive the Brawl decks in their collections, but Throne of Eldraine cards shown below as rewards, like these things, can be used in standard 2020 events starting September 9 and in other events starting September 26. So I believe we will earn those cards in our collection, as I properly understand. So which is pretty cool. So for basically just winning one match, we are going to get 4 copies of this card and 100 experience, which is quite cool. But again, since I'm already past the cap of my levels in terms of the mastery pass, like I don't have mastery pass, I just, like, in terms of the mastery, I'm at 70, where I am, yeah, almost 80th level, and the reward stopped for me at 70 second level, so there's not that much. So experience for me, it's not important at all. So go back. By the way, also they revealed a renewal season rewards, which is pretty cool. I talked about them in my previous stream, which I will upload at some point on YouTube too. They revealed a lot of guild cosmetics. So basically, it was like today was a new update, and with this update, they updated new things to pre-order in store. This thing appeared, so let's just, without further ado, go and test what this thing is all about. So we could also inspect decks here, which is pretty cool. So we have Knight's Charge, we have Savage Hunter, we have Wild Bounty, and we have Faerie Schemes. Ooh, snap, Faerie Schemes sounds pretty interesting. So let's just look through the cards, because I'm super interested about, like, what? Okay, this is weird. So we have sideboard. Mostly sideboard consists of a lot of lands, like different land alternatives. Ooh, this is sick land. A lot of pretty cool lands. So this is the way for us to get familiar with the Throne of Eldraine. Eldraine, I believe. Eldraine, not Eldraine. Eldraine. So this is our commander card. As I understand, whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So I still don't know. I never played commander. I never played anything like it. I read rules about the commander, so I know how it works in general, but I never experienced it personally. So this is going to be my first experience in commander, and I definitely pumped to basically, like, learn how to play it. Okay, this is interesting. So Profane Inside and Instant Adventure. So we need to understand how to work with it. So Adventure, this is going to be a new ability. You may cast this card as an adventure after you do exile it. Okay, you may then cast the creature later from exile. Okay, we need to use it in practice. So basically, inside, like this card is in our hand, we use the Profane Insight ability to activate this thing, probably, I don't know, as an instant adventure. What? I don't know. Okay, this is going to be a confusing thing. We'll figure this out throughout the game. The only way to figure it out is basically going to the inside of the game. So this one could be, this activated ability can be used only as a sorcery. This is a sorcery adventure. Return target creature card from your graveyard. So, as I understand, you may cast this card as an adventure after you do exile it. So, first we need to exile it, and only then we will be able to basically play this ability. Besides, like until then, it's just going to be a creature or fly into 2. You may then cast the creature later from exile, and then we could cast the creature later from exile. So there's 2 things. So we'll see inside of the game how it works. I'm not sure. So a couple of new cards. So commander toughness equal to the number of knights you control. Whenever it attacks another target knight you control, gain indestructible until end of turn. Okay. Let me prepare things. So I will record this video in small pieces, small chunks, and then I will basically combine all of those chunks into one big video, so you're not going to see the difference. So equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. We're going to go through all the new cards that I'm not familiar with. So equipped creature gets +2/+2. You will be able to equip knight for 1 and equip regular creature for 3, which is pretty cool. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. This is, by the way, one of the oldest cards, I believe. This is just a reprint of already existing cards that used in Commander, which is specific for Commander format. And this particular instance is going to be implemented in Brawl format. So basically, we could add mana that represent our Commander's colors. In this particular instance, it's red, white, or black. Okay, so Menace. Whenever it attacks other knights you control, get +1. It's pretty cool. Nothing new here. Okay, whenever a knight you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Also, for 8 you can sacrifice it. Return all knights creatures card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is pretty sick. Why this is not mythic? Because it's pretty high cost, but still it's crazy. Destroy target creature. Yeah, we already have it. Okay, well, now the new one, double strike, gets +1/+1 till end of turn. I didn't saw new cards for Throne of Eldraine, so for me it's kind of new stuff, so because of this I decided to go through new cards. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into your graveyard, from anywhere, not into your specific graveyard, but to any graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, which is again a little bit more specified in your specific graveyard, this one deals 1 damage to each opponent. Interesting. And for 2 activated ability, each player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. Pretty cool. What else new here? And that's it, I guess. Nothing new. So not that many new cards from Throne of Eldraine, but still pretty cool. So again, this deck's specified on knights and whenever and on equipment. So on equipment. So because of this, our commander basically works around this ability. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And also, you will be able to you will be able to use your equipments on knights for 0, which is pretty cool. In most cases we have knights, I believe. So most of the, like, probably all creatures that we have are knights. It wouldn't be wise to have not knight creatures in this deck because it's all built around knights. So it's a creature type specific deck, which is pretty cool. No, we actually have a dragon right here, which is probably because knights are pretty small. We need to have some type of a big creature with flying. Also, knights usually don't fly, so I guess this is a good balance for this deck. That's it. So, and again, the sideboard basically consists of... wait a minute. Do we have actually lands in the deck or not. Yes, we have lands, 24 of them. And sideboard is basically 0. Oh, these are the lands. This is not a sideboard. We don't have any cards in sideboard, so yeah, kind of misleading. Whatever. So pretty cool, pretty cool. So yeah, let's just go through the next deck. So the next deck is Savage Hunter. So the previous deck was built around equipments and around knights. So let's see what this deck is capable of. Okay, like, oh, whatever. It doesn't have any cards. No, it actually has. Okay, Dragon. Flying, whenever this so-called commander enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So right away, logically, we could say that this deck revolves around sacrificing and attacking. Maybe, we'll see. So, sacrifice a creature, create a food token, which is interesting. If the sacrificed creature's toughness was 4 or greater, create 2 food tokens instead. I don't know what food token is, so we're going to figure this out later by playing this deck probably. In this thing, like in this video, I will try to play once with each deck until at least until we're going to test all new cards that we've shown here, like until we'll figure out what is a food token, etc. So far nothing new. Okay, we already saw that. So whenever an egg, so this is a food egg, so apparently food token, it's a type of maybe artifact. When golden egg enters the battlefield, draw a card, sacrifice golden egg, add 1 mana of any color, and sacrifice golden egg for 2 by tapping it, and you gain 3 life. So pretty interesting artifact. But again, it's still a question what type of food tokens will be created. In the game they will be shown, I believe, once we will hover over it. Okay, pretty cool art. So whenever this hunter attacks or blocks, again, supports the attacking strategy. So yeah, this deck is basically supposed to be kind of an aggressive deck. Attacks or blocks, create a food token again, and then sacrifice 2 foods and draw a card. So maybe the reason to create food tokens, like by themselves they don't work. We'll see what they do specifically, but by sacrificing those food tokens, we will be able to fulfill this ability by sacrificing permanents, because apparently food token is a permanent, as long as it's present on the battlefield. And by sacrificing them, basically we will be able to utilize this strategy. There's not that many things that works with sacrificing though. I mean, okay, this one works sacrificing. Yeah, there's not that many cards that actually work with sacrificing. This one works with sacrificing only itself. This one, pretty important one to sacrifice things. But again, we have only 1 copy of each cards. It's going to be pretty hard to utilize all of those abilities. So destroy target creature, create a food token. We will see what food token looks like in a game. Okay. Okay, whenever another creature oh yeah, we already saw this guy in the previous deck. Don't remember this dragon, although he's from M20. Okay, whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Okay, and based on attack. And the last couple of cards here. So each player sacrifices 3 creatures. You create 3 food tokens, which is pretty interesting, but it's not cheap at all. And whenever this mammoth or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, this mammoth fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Okay, pretty interesting. So again, this deck is pretty straightforward. It's a little bit more confusing when it comes down to how food tokens operate. And for me personally, the Knight's deck seems a little bit more consistent when it comes down to the ability, because it's a little bit more familiar maybe. I don't know. And right here, since we have a completely new thing like food token, which I don't know necessarily how it works, and not that many cards that works within the synergy of the food tokens, and mostly sacrifice, like we're working around sacrificing and around attacking. It's going to be a pretty weird synergy. I don't like aggressive decks that much personally, so but either way we will try it. A lot of cool lands. Yeah, pretty awesome lands. Like this gold that I'm collecting, I intend to use on buying as many boosters from Throne of Eldraine as possible, because I love this setting. It's pretty sick. It's kind of a grim fairy tales, or yeah, setting. Okay, let's just go to the next deck. Oh no, this is my decks. Okay, no, not my decks. Here. So the next deck that we're going to go through is a Wild Bounty. There's just 4 of them. Ideally, I could like look through the deck, then test it, and then basically get back to the other decks. But since we're going to play against similar decks, we need to know against what type of decks we're playing against. So because of this, it's better to actually study all decks, and because highly likely we're going to play against similar decks. Also, it could be right away clear what type of deck is going to be the top deck, because I doubt that many people are going to play, for instance, for the previous dragon deck with sacrificial things, with sacrificing. Like, there's probably going to be a lot of knights right from the get-go, because it's a simpler mechanic. It's easily utilized. Okay, so let's just go to the second deck. So, third deck. So, Wild Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand for 3 and tap. Okay. What we could say about the specialization of this deck based on the commander. Draw a card whenever you cast a creature spell. So again, apparently it has a lot of small creatures in order to utilize this ability. Since commander is right away on the battlefield, we don't have to cast it. So yeah. Then you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield, which is basically helps us to get to bigger creatures, which we have a lot of them, and bigger spells. So basically, we don't have that many mid-game cards, mostly a lot of early game cards and big chunk of late game cards. But hopefully we will get to them faster the more creatures we will play. Also, it needs to focus around drawing lands too, because in order for this mechanic to be utilized, we of course have to have lands in our hand. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand, which is basically could help us to retrigger certain abilities while entering the battlefield. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward mechanic too. Again, whenever you draw a card, whenever you draw a second card, each turn put +1 counter on this Faerie. Just pretty cool. What else we have here that is unfamiliar? Pretty cool Faerie. It's Faerie. Say it 10 times. Flying and basically helps us to add 2 mana. Okay, it's a pretty ugly creature. Run away together. Pretty interesting card. Choose to target creatures controlled by different players. Okay, this is interesting. And return those creatures to their owner's hands. So again, it focuses around returning cards, which is again return target creature you control to its owner's hands, and basically 2 things that this deck supports is creatures, lands, and returning things. So in terms of the strategy, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to think about a lot of stuff. So this is probably a little bit more complex deck. Like beginners are definitely not going to choose this deck as their main one to get through this event. So this one enters the battlefield with a page counter on it. Whenever your commander enters the battlefield or attacks, put a page counter on this legend. So again, just a specific type of counters specific for this Tome of Legends. which basically allows to put a page counters on it. And then we will be able to remove those page counters from this artifact and draw additional cards, which is pretty cool, which usually is supposed to be a land. So again, we have to have something that could draw a decent amount of lands to put more lands in play. Pretty interesting turtle hider, not just a regular turtle. So enters the battlefield with +1/+1 X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is the amount of additional mana that we will be able to pay for it. And for 3, remove +1 counters from this hider and destroy target artifact or enchantment. Pretty interesting. Kind of a cool balancing act. So another weird thing that I don't know how it works. So there's multiple ways how adventure works, but we'll figure this out in the game. For now, I have multiple kind of ideas how it could work, but we'll see it once we will see it in the game. So add 1 mana of any color as a sorcery, and as a creature, add 1 mana of any color. The question stands when exactly we will be able to play them. Like, do we have this card right away in our hand and we'll be able to play it as a creature right away, and then after it will be exiled, we'll be able to play it as an adventure, so as a sorcery adventure, or in order to get it into exile we have to use it as a sorcery adventure and then bring back as a creature after casting it, whatever. I don't know. So we will see. So there's a lot of ideas how it could work, which is pretty cool. Nothing new here. Okay, so create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying for 4 and additional draw. We already encountered this guy before. And pretty cool giant. Love giants. Unfortunately, Magic doesn't have that many giants, but pretty cool. So this giant power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, which is again supports the commander strategy. And also, as a sorcery adventure, search your library for a basic land card. Again, we need to have something to search the library for. Put into the battlefield this basic land, and then shuffle the library. Pretty awesome land searcher. So let me, I believe the more I read about these adventure cards, the more I understand them. So you may cast this card as an adventure after you do exile it. You may then cast the creature later from exile. Yeah, still unclear. How we exile it though? Do we exile it by just activating this ability? Or, it's still a question. Because I don't saw that many cards that actually exile other cards, so because of this it's kind of confusing. Another creature enters the battlefield under your control. This one fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I believe we already saw it, or not. So yeah, that's it. And let's just go quickly through the lands. Yeah, pretty awesome lands. Almost every land is pretty sick. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. This is something that I didn't notice before. But I believe we have this land in every deck, because it kind of supports this artifact, which just works the same way. If we don't, again, this is of 3 color decks, all of them. Most of the commanders here, I believe, have 3 colors. How to get back to the decks? Okay, and the last deck is Faerie Schemes. So again, the previous deck was basically revolved around around a lot of returners, a lot of lands, so it's quite complex for newbies, I believe. I would get confused at the beginning. This is the sickest land. This is the sickest art ever. Superb. Alayla. So, Faerie. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0. Whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 block Faerie token with flying. So, right away from the get-go, we could think of this deck focused around specifically Fairies, maybe. So again, pretty similar to Knights, probably. When before we didn't have necessarily creature-specific creature type specific decks. This is probably another creature type specific deck, or at least it works around creatures with flying. And whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spells, which could be a second thing of this deck, you will create creatures with flying. So again, pretty straightforward deck. Probably the most two popular decks that people are going to play are going to be Fairies and Knights, because they're just a linear decks in terms of what you can do with them. So let's just see what other cards are doing. So enters the battlefield, scry 2, and sacrifice for 4 and draw 2 cards. Pretty awesome. Definitely is going to be in every deck. And by the way, sick card. Okay, that's it here. Pretty interesting construct. When Corridor Monitor enters the battlefield, untap target artifact or creature you control, which basically allows us to either reuse artifacts abilities multiple times, which is pretty interesting. Oh, this is sick art. Most of the Faerie arts are going to be sick. I don't know why, but I believe it's definitely going to be the case. +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. The creature that is going to be enchanted with this aura, we'll get pretty cool. I say it as Yoda. So again, yeah, basically this one works with enchantments. So fairies are specialized on enchantments. Enchanted creature loses all abilities, and it's a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. It loses all other card types and creature types, so it basically becomes creatureless and typeless, which is interesting. Okay, we already saw this deck before. Okay, so another interesting fairy, again, another pretty cool art. Just creature flying with 2/2, but as a sorcery adventure, target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature that will be able to put 4 +1/+1 counters on. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. So another flying vigilance gets +1/+1 as long as you control an artifact, and then you get +1/+1 as long as you control an enchantment also. So it basically buffs itself the more artifacts we control and the more enchantments we control. So again, supporting the strategy of fairies around artifacts and enchantments, which is pretty cool. This is, I believe, works the same way. Power is equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments you control. This one, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on this, and has vigilance, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on it and equip for free, which is pretty good too. So again, it's a pretty straightforward deck again. Again, most of the simplest decks are Knights and Fairies in here. Enter the battlefield, choose a color, creature you control of a chosen color get +1/+0, and also you will be able to edit mana of the chosen color, which is pretty interesting. So this one is a pretty interesting bird. So upon entering the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Again, it just allows us to search for certain cards. Super Dragon. As long as you control 4 or more artifacts, Shimmer Dragon has a hexproof, which is pretty interesting, and tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, draw a card. When you cast a spell from your hand, copy it if you control an artifact, then copy it if you control an enchantment. You may choose new targets for each copy, which is actually pretty sick, so no wonder this card is pretty costly. And return target non-land permanent into its owner's hand also, and you create 2/2 Knight creature token with vigilance. It's weird that this card is not in a Knight deck, because it probably doesn't support Knight colors. But still, pretty cool. Those Knight colors that our Knight has, because I believe Knight has red, if I remember properly, white, and black, no blue. So, artifact creatures you control have flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target creature artifact you control become 0/0 artifact creature. If you do, put a +4 +1/+1 counters on it in order for it not to die. because again, if you enter a creature with a oh, it's just going to die. That's it. So yeah, Faerie's a pretty interesting deck too. I mean, it's not that easy as probably Knights. So I bet that Knight decks are going to be probably the most playable ones. So we will start with Knights because this is kind of an easier deck. This is not necessarily super complex, but again, it doesn't have like strict definitive strategies. In most cases, works with sacrificing. Those two decks are a little bit more complex in terms of what they can do. I believe this one is the most complex one, like in the first look, maybe because just I don't understand like food counters still. Once we will get a grasp of the food counters, it's going to be easy. And Faerie schemes are, again, they're called Faerie schemes for a reason. They have a weird scheme of working with artifacts and enchantments. Seems straightforward, but there's a lot of probably things that work in a different way, which basically a lot of cards that basically complicates these schemes, and we have to adapt to it. So yeah, yeah, that's it kind of for this part of the video, and the next part of the video we will start to test those decks. So yeah. So I guess now let's just start the decks. So the first deck that we're going to start with, so again, first we will try to get the first win. Like, I'm not actually considered about winning all these 6 matches. I mean, at some point we will win them, and at some point we will read what those cards are all doing, and we will understand them better once we will get a little bit more experience with them. But I guess most of these cards we're actually already familiar with. Yeah, so I remember this one in the deck. Yeah, I remember this one too. Definitely remember this one. Kind of remember this one, but I'm not sure. And this one I probably remember too. Return target creature card from your graveyard, to your hand, and Order of Midnight can block. So I don't remember this one. This is probably kind of unique. We don't have it in any deck, although it might be in a Knight deck. So again, speaking about Knights, or we're going to go, and the first deck that we're going to choose is going to be, again, the easiest one, the Knights Charge. Let's just go and try it. So again, I don't have experience in playing Commander nor Brawl, so I know the basic rules. So again, the only difference, as I understand, from like in Brawl from Commander is the fact that Commander is basically all cards allowed in play from previous. Okay, that was a weird noise. Okay, interesting. Now the decks are displayed. This is actually pretty cool. I don't know. Oh snap! It looks superb. So now we know what decks people are playing with, which is interesting. It's a pretty decent hand, since this is a Knight deck. This is actually a perfect hand. Oh snap! This looks actually pretty awesome. I mean, it's a completely different feel on playing on this type of a battlefield. So now this is a Commander. So again, I don't necessarily understand what we need to do right now. So we're not able to play Commander yet. Apparently it's not on a battlefield right away, as I thought so. Because at the beginning I actually thought that Commander is going to be on the battlefield right away from the get-go. The only thing is it has to be revealed though. And the Commander the opponent is playing is a Faerie deck. It's much more. Whenever enters the battlefield, create one Sentinel creature that attached plate to it. It's kind of cool. Destroy target artifact. So since I don't know how this thing is playing, let's just choose. So we can choose that, but we can choose just play a creature. And apparently this one we'll be able to use only if it's going to be exiled. After you do exile it. So we have to exile it first in order to play it. I doubt that we're going to be able to do that. So, okay. Seems like a good idea to do. Equip Knight. We have almost Knight creatures only. So far things are looking pretty cool. I mean, the overall visuals are pretty interesting, like the new battlefield, new stance. By the way, with this update they implemented a new statistics, so now if we're going to hover over our this area, we're going to be presented with the display of number of cards in the deck, remaining number of cards in our hand, number of cards in exile, and number of cards in our graveyard, which is pretty cool. Decks, let's just go with this. So opponent needs one last land, either blue or black, in order to put this commander in play. We're not going to be able to play our hero. Oh snap. It's pretty bad. I mean, we're probably going to lose that way. I could buff this creature and deal excessive damage, but whatevs. Whatevs. There's a problem with the display of the shadows in here, as you see. It's weird, it seems like this card is hovering. So here it is. We're going to kill it next turn. And also we will see what's going to happen with Commander after Commander is going to die, because this is not something that I know like how it works. So let's just kill the commander. Oh, we don't have mana for it, of course. Let's kill the commander that way. And now this creature exiled, but you see, it still will be able to enter the battlefield. So you can basically destroy commander, which is pretty cool. So after destroying the commander, you still will be able to play it. Yeah. The memories will start to get back to me. Now I beginning to remember how to actually play a commander. Like the fact that the commanders are not right away into the play, they are revealed at the beginning of the game, so you know that what decks we're playing with and against, potentially in terms of the accessible colors. Or, yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean that these commanders are right away, like... So we'll be able to replay commanders on multiple occasions. It's time to play a land. Things are slow. I mean, we don't have like super awesome cards in our hand. We don't have that many creatures, which is pretty bad. Why this commander costs 3 instead of 1 when you look at it from that vantage point? Maybe it's just a glitch, like it's a reflection of our commander, because this commander is cheaper. But at some point it looked like 3, not 1 in cost. Okay, enter the battlefield, choose a creature type, creatures you control gets +1/+1. It's kind of cool thing. And we need 1 additional mana to buff one of our creatures upon attacking, so... Knights. Of course, since this creature basically lost all things, it's not a knight anymore. So this one, it's a pretty good equipment. So let's just, instead of using buff, no, let's just stay in defense for now. There's no point of attacking yet. Next turn, once I will be able to protect 5/5 from dying. We have problem with lands, definite problem with lands, which opponent doesn't have. So maybe this is the reason why we're kind of losing. Oh snap! This is bad. This is the exact thing that basically destroys things if you control an enchantment, artifact, and whatever for each copy. Whatever's, let's just block with it. This creature is mostly pointless. It's not going to work in our synergy at this point. Oh, this is pretty bad. It doesn't destroys, it returns them back. Yeah, so we basically have a lot of problems with mana, and because of the mana problem, we're not able to do much. Probably going to lose this match. Either way, we're trying new cards. So I guess adventure, it's like a protection from exile. So for instance, if opponent exiles one of our cards, or it also gives a reason. If we have a exile removal and we can target our own creatures, we could exile this card in order for them to use it. So kind of a weird thing, but at the same time kind of cool. Yeah, we're in trouble. So yeah, we're going to lose this match. Nothing clickable yet in this new battlefield. Maybe there's going to be something clickable. Maybe this is just a special battlefield for the Brawl. Who knows? I don't remember the I don't believe that we have any removal. Except target permanent with mana cost of 4 or greater. There's no point of exiling this one. Opponent is going to, again, killing your commander is just like a small gesture to stop it permanently. Oh, yeah, temporary. So there's no permanent solutions against commander, which is and this is the only creature. Whatever. I guess we have to kill it. I don't believe the decks, any of those decks, had counter spells, so we're not going to get countered. So yeah, the plan for now is to play until 6 win with each deck at least from maybe 1 to 3 matches, not more than 3 I believe. And even if we will finish with all 6 wins earlier, which I doubt, probably should kill this thing first. So now we will be able to play commander, but again, whenever an equipped creature control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. It's kind of a bad thing. We're going to lose life, but it makes our equipment creatures. This deck doesn't have any. No, this deck actually has a life gain. Not a strong one, but it has. Whatever. We'll just play commander for the sake of playing it. That was cool. I actually missed the animation for Alela for some reason. Of course we don't have it. Let's just go with a final attack and finish on that, because next turn is going to be our last. This turn is going to be our last, but next turn, opponent's turn is going to be our last. Let's just... I could put equipments, by the way, and make them stronger, but it doesn't matter. Because I could equip my knights now for 0. Thanks to the commander. Again, I believe that we lost this game for 2 reasons. From the commander or from the brawl standpoint, we lost it because our commander was not cheap and we had troubles with lands. So it's kind of a combination of 2 things. Let's just go and play another, either last match or another match, it all depends. If I'm going to lose all matches, then, like the next match, then I probably will play another one. If I'm going to win, we will leave it at that and we'll try another deck. Because again, this deck is pretty straightforward. The only thing that probably makes it quite hard to play is the fact that the commander is pretty costly. It's not cheap at all. Okay, we have kind of a choice. Put this one as tapped, or put this one and play something. Number of knights. I'll be able to play this one, or this one. Yeah, let's play this guy. Whenever he attacks, another knight you control gains indestructible until the end of the turn. This is actually pretty cool. So now we're gonna play tapped one. We kind of need mana, but at the same time, I don't know. We have all colors that we need. We will get, although we would need double white. We have double white. Yeah, we're gonna need that. And let's now put this one in order to produce a creature that could attack next turn. As long as we don't have troubles with lands. I missed this card was actually there. When we looked through the deck, I wasn't paying attention to cards from the current sets, so kind of missed it. For now, let's just focus on playing as many creatures as possible. Let's make this one indestructible. If one decides to kill it with a reef. So the cool thing when you're playing with pre-constructed decks, that everything it seems fair. So you have an equal amount of rare cards in your in your possession. So his opponent has the same amount of cards, and decks are pretty well balanced usually. So we don't have enough mana for that. Opponent will probably kill either with combined effort 2-3 or that, or yes, this one and this one. We need for this to die, and let's just make this knight bigger, and also do this. Enter the battlefield, equipped creature +1/+1. So next turn, if we will get a proper land, we will be able to probably play our Seer or Sire. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, opponent casts creature spells, draw a card, then you may put a land card. Yeah, we lost our super cool flyer. Not that big of a deal. I'm not talking much because I'm kind of focused on the game. I'm trying to think what I could do next. Double creatures the opponent controls. Pay a lifelink until end of the turn. We're leading in this game for now. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. So we could use this one at some point, but not now. A little bit later. For now, let's play Commander. Snap! Which will allow us to do this, and this is not a knight, this is a soldier? Interesting. Kinda thought that it was a knight. Probably shouldn't attack with it though. Yeah, whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, draw a card and you lose 1 life. So yeah, the only problem is that you're basically losing a life. It's not a good thing. We don't have that many cards that give us lifelink. This one, kind of a massive lifelink. Why opponent didn't block our 1/1 though? I attacked with it by mistake, by the way. Oh, this is bad. But we will survive, still. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 4. Yeah, it's fine. Going to block that one, skip the rest. We're still not... Oh, no, we're winning. Because we're going to top all creatures opponent control. And attack. Da, 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 da. Cool. Our first win. So, for now, let's call it at that. So, we lost 1 match with this deck, and now we won 1 match with this deck. So, let's... Yeah, we get granted 4 copies of this pretty cool card. So enters the battlefield, choose a color, creatures you control of a chosen color get +1/+0, and also you'll be able to use it as a mana source of a chosen color, which is pretty cool. So 4 copies are now in our possession. So that's it. So in order to get our first win, we tried 1 deck. We're going to try to pick up our second win with another deck. And we will go the same way for 2 matches for each deck. If I will manage to get to 6 wins by playing with each deck for at least 2 matches, it's gonna be awesome. If not, then I will continue to play even after we will get 6 wins. I would want to hope that... Okay, skip it. And we're gonna get all 6 wins. Pretty easy. But for now, out of 2 matches that we played, only 1 was won. That was quite an entering the battlefield sound. Hopefully you hear the sound. So let's go with this. So again, the deck that we're playing now based on sacrificing. So since now we put in play innovation, we need to be super quick in winning, because each turn we're going to lose a lot of lives. And by the way, we're starting Commander with 25 lives, not with regular 20. This is not a Commander, but Brawl. But again, they have the same rules mostly. There's not that much of a difference. So, we're seeing Faeries again. So far we played 2 matches. This is the second match that we're playing against Fairies, and one match we played against Wizards. Kind of the complex deck that I talked about with food, which we didn't saw in the previous match at all, and we won this match. Maybe because of it, because it didn't have any food. Okay, I don't know what to play here. Let's play it with this one. At least we're gonna put the equipment in play. Unfortunately, we didn't get any lands. That way we could proliferate and make our zombie army bigger at this stage, but didn't draw any lands, which is kinda disappointing. So commander in this deck costs probably the same as the previous one. But again, Aleda or Alida is probably the cheapest commander. Flying Faerie. It's so easy to miss her, she's so small. Because she's a fairy. This is the reason why I didn't saw her for the first time. Okay, pretty cool. We're probably going to play this one, sacrifice 1/1. Opponents will be forced to sacrifice a fairy. And we'll continue to slowly but surely attack. So the cool thing about commanders that again they are indestructible, so there is no way to kill them permanently. So we will always be able to play them. So even if we don't have any cards in our hand, we still will be able to constantly put commander in play, which could create a pretty weird situation, like commander against commander, until we will be able to play some cards that could make commander synergy work. I probably made a mistake. No, it's fine. We don't have anything with counters. Ideally, I would need to play Brawl because it gives us mana. But either way, we won. So let's just go win that match with this.
There are 2 kinds of mages. Those who lose, and me.
Hello, Wanderer. Or 4 copies of each card. I actually thought that just 1 copy will gain. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So again, this card present in 2 decks, and it's present in Knight deck, and also it's present in the other deck. I don't remember in which exactly. So, another match with this deck. Hope this match is going to be a little bit longer. I guess with knights, knights are pretty simple. By the way, we're going to play against knights. Pretty cool. So, okay. So again, this deck is based on sacrificing, and it's a pretty bad start. Sacrifice a creature, create a food token. That's mulligan. Oh, first mulligan is free. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So, another thing. We're gonna take this deck. We have all 3 colors that we need, which is pretty cool. Your opponent is choosing whether or not to take a free mulligan. Why we don't see our own mythic thing? It's kind of outside of the monitor. It's pretty annoying. We're highlighting our commander by hovering over the name. So it's not the type of deck necessarily that we're playing against shown, but the commander type, which could, since this is a pre-constructed format that we're allowed to play for now, it will only allow us to play with the pre-built decks. We don't have, we're not able to put any changes in them, make them better. But ideally, if you see a commander with a specific 3 colors, you already could think of what this type of deck specifically could be if you play enough with this format. So there is a chance that opponent is not going to take mulligan and we're going to get a free win by just being patient. We'll see. So yeah, I guess the commander works exactly that way. The first thing that I thought about the commander, that commanders will enter the battlefield right away, but this is not the case. We have to get mana for them and play them. But one thing is cool about the commanders, they are unkillable. So you're not going to be able to lose them at any point. I believe even if opponent is going to stall a commander with an exile, like, it's still going to appear here. I'm not 100% sure about that one though. This commander will cost more the next time it is cast from the command zone. Oh yeah, another thing about the commanders, the more you play a commander, the more cost is going to get. So the first time that you play a commander, it has an original cost. The second play you play commander after he's died, he gets an additional one more cost each time that you cast it from a command zone. The only question, like the only thing that I don't remember specifically about the commander rules is what's going to happen with the commander once it will be exiled temporary with a certain card. Does it still go into the command zone? Or, yeah, we get a free win. Or it's just going to be in possession of the opponent, because I believe that if it's going to be in a possession of the opponent and we're not going to be able to play it from the exile zone, it's going to be pretty cheaty, and everyone is going to build decks that are going to just take commander hostage and hold it. So in order to balance this thing, I believe commander has to be immune to exile in general. Whatever you will do with the commander, like even if you will exile it, for instance, with Excellence Binding or whatever, we still will be able to play it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to test this theory in here because our pre-built decks don't have an exile cards that could take hostage of a creature. Not take hostage, but take a hold of a creature. Oh snap, I actually didn't plan to play this deck. But yeah, let's play it because the previous match wasn't necessarily a play. We got an automatic win. So it's better to actually play the match with this deck. So let's consider this match as just a second match. Wolves are howling. There's a lot of tapped cards in here, but for now we need to do this and play something that could give us a little mana. Again, none of the decks have counters. One of the decks has a lot of returners, so maybe this explains why when we hovered over commander we saw more converted mana cost than original, because it was basically revealed. It was revealed because of it. Yeah, I made quite a big of a mistake. No, it's actually pointless. It doesn't matter how we would play it. We wouldn't have anything that could proliferate. We're playing with the orange mythic name, which means that we're probably playing with the MTG Arena admin, one of the game creators, which is pretty cool. I never played against mythic orange nicknames, so it's gonna be interesting. So let's think. Ideally we could play a Brontodon and right away use it to kill this enchantment, because it's pretty annoying enchantment. So let's just play a Brontodon. And if opponent would want to use it, we're going to pretty quickly get rid of it. So opponent disabled our Sage, so it's basically not anything, it's just a creature. Frog. Okay. So this is pretty interesting artifact. I never played it before, which is pretty cool, but for now let's just go with this. This way we will be able to attack, because all of our creatures now will become a mass. Let's attack first. Then mass. So let's just read this one. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on this one, and a equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each discharge counter. So I'm going to postpone the deletion of this artifact, this equipment with Brontodon, as long as we have creature to attack with. So yeah, the orange mythic names mean that we're playing against Magic the Gathering team of developers, which is pretty cool. This is probably my first. I don't remember if we actually played against orange mythic names before, like in this session. I need to revisit those names because sometimes I'm not paying attention to against whom I'm playing. So yeah, now against I guess now we need to do this. The only thing, we need to choose a proper thing for each artifact and enchantment. Let's choose this one. Submit! Because we don't have anything to block it with. And it's actually pretty big. Yeah, we're gonna lose our Graph, which is fine.
Fires out, but the embers burn on.
So maybe it's time to play our dragon. So enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a push charge counter on it. So we could sacrifice this 1/1, but only after attacking, probably. First thing that we need to do is probably attack. No, let's just do this. Okay, we're gonna play this, and let's just attack with all of them. Although it's pretty risky, I wouldn't want to lose to 1. I could lose to 2, and I also could lose Orzhov because it's going to produce a creature flying that we could use to block for Faerie. And what I need to think of now is destroy target creature, create a food token. So next turn, if I will have proper lands, hopefully I will. Yeah, we have 2 blacks. So 2 swamps, that means that we will be able to produce this food. So now we know what food is. So token artifact food is basically a thing that we will be able to pay 2, sacrifice this artifact and gain 3 lives. So now we know what food is. So it's not just a token without any abilities, this token has a certain ability. So basically food is a way to gain lives, which is pretty cool. Okay, this is pretty bad disabler for our... So can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can be activated. We don't have any activated abilities for it. We have triggered abilities, which means that it's not going to be affected by it. But yeah, and for now let's just skip. I want to keep this flare intact. We might use it to sacrifice something. So now I will try to kill this Alela because she's not, like, opponent doesn't have enough mana, apparently. Which means that we have to target the creature in order to force opponent to pay additional cost each time that commander is going to be played from a commander zone. And also I want to see how food. That was pretty sick. A small blanket with a thing. So now we will attack. We will force opponent into killing one of our creatures. Hopefully opponent will kill probably Druid. And then we will keep our plague thing if opponent will decide to play only 1 commander next time. And for now, let's just play this one since we can. So far we have a pretty big chance of winning. The only problem is we don't have anything to basically... No, we actually have thing to... Yeah, so the next turn I have choice to sacrifice my commander in order to... Yeah, let's just do this. Yes. Oh, I don't know what I choose actually. In the command zone or the graveyard, or I kind of skipped what was right there. Play this. Let's use. Let's just attack. Didn't have anything to play. So okay. And again, phone is ringing, but I can't take it because I'm playing the match and recording, so sorry, whoever is calling. So now it's time to probably play another commander. So now it's much more costly. So now it costs 4 more the next time it's cast from the command zone. So right now it costs 2 more each time, and then each time 2 more. So basically, yeah, it's interesting. So let's think who we're gonna sacrifice. Let's sacrifice this one. That's probably not the best choice. Just continue to press opponent. Scoobity-pa-bum. Oh snap, this actually works because this is a permanent, which is pretty cool. So what type of land we need? Let's just take black one. We have a lot of black cards. Swamp. The swamp. Okay. So far, kind of things are pretty cool. I mean, this is the last match that we're playing with this deck before switching to the other decks. You may have target non-creature artifact you control become a so artifact. If you do, put 4 counters on it. Okay. So now the opponent's commander costs 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exactly 8 lands available. So discard a card, sacrifice a creature. So it's probably time to put a pressure. Let's go with right and haste, and also we will put this equipment onto. It actually doesn't do anything. It just allows us to kind of sacrifice a creature. So for now, let's just. Whenever a player sacrifices a creature, it's probably, yeah, it was a mistake. Whatever. Let's go with full force. Attack with all of them. So, we're going to sacrifice the creature that is going to die equally. Again, you have to kind of... Again, it was a mistake again. I should probably deal damage to 4/4 instead of dealing it here. Again, to any targets specific, like, I completely understand that I made a huge mistake. But whatever. And also, I could sacrifice this one and actually deal damage. And again, I missed this opportunity again. So... Our commander is pretty big, but he's going to die. So again, graveyard command zone. I don't know, like, what is the thing? Why would we need to put it on a graveyard? I don't know. Maybe because, like, in case we have something that could bring him from the graveyard cheaper. Maybe this is the reason. Like, and again, I'm not sure. Each player sacrifices 3 creatures. You create 3 foods. So let's just now go this route. And another. So. Yes, I will pay to life. Oh, wait a minute. Pay to life, sacrifice a creature? No, later, not now. I don't want to sacrifice this creature. This is something that I will do next. Once we will have something smaller. So again, this deck is relatively complicated. I mean, as you see, I missed a lot of opportunities because I was too hasty. It's not necessarily like linear progression in this deck. You have to think, you have to plan what you have to sacrifice, what you have to keep. So there's a lot of choices that goes between with this deck, and it's kind of, yeah. So this is the creature that we're probably gonna sacrifice in order to create 5/5 big guy. Big black demon. And also, yeah, this is not something that we're gonna do. I don't know what to do at this point. There's a lot of things. Seriously? What ifs? So yeah, for now we're going to stick to... Well, let's attack. I want to force opponent into blocking. So opponent has 2 lives, we're pretty close to winning. But again, we might not win. So another creature. Now opponent has the things to block with. One thing that could help us win at this point is something like this. So this thing is actually going to help us to win. So if we're gonna do this, like deal 1 damage with the first creature, then put it on a different creature, deal another damage, and etc. So basically, that way we're gonna enter the battlefield you control, fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Fighting other creatures, I wouldn't necessarily make this choice. So let's try to do this, and that's it, and we're going to win. We have 2 exact creatures in order to deal the last 2 exact damages. So just basically by putting those things on opponent, which is basically winning this way. So if opponent doesn't have anything to counter it, or anything to gain life, we're basically winning. So yeah, we won against a Magic member team, which is actually pretty cool. So if I properly understand the mythic names and whatever. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And now we gain this pretty cool card and sacrifice 2 foods and draw a card. So yeah, 2 matches before winning, and the next 2 decks that we're going to play, of course, is going to be Wild Bunny and Faerie Schemes. So far, this deck actually was much more complicated than I would anticipate. Yeah, so it works with the food counters, with the food, not food counters, with food tokens. We figured out what food tokens are doing in the previous game, which was pretty cool. So in general, we will continue to play 2 matches for each deck. So 4 matches to go. So let's just continue our Eldraine Brawl. Yeah, 4 matches to go, and only 2 of those matches we have to win. Sorry about that. So hopefully we will do exactly that. So Wild Bunny is the next one. Go. And go. 2 matches with it. Drink a bit of water. Yeah, players with mythic orange names are MTG Arena team members. So apparently today we played against team member. So it was my first experience in playing against a team member, which is pretty sick. Never played against team member before, so it's a good thing. Like not even outside of the streams, which is a weird thing. Okay, it's a pretty decent hand. Actually, this hand is pretty familiar to the hand of the Elemental deck. Either way. Now, again, we don't have all mana that we need, but we have this to search mana. We will use search mana using Arcane. And also we'll be able to put Druid, which will also give us the land color that we need. So ideally we have all colors, like at this point. Lately I also decided to disable emotes. For a while I used emotes on a pretty consistent basis. But at some point I just figured out that I better get rid of them in general, because people started to abuse them in a different way, and sometimes it just gets under the nerve when you just want to enter the game and play for fun. Okay, it's a pretty interesting situation. So so again, this deck revolves around this creature, so it basically works whenever we cast a creature spell. So the faster we will get to this druid, the better. So ideally, we don't want to play creatures early. It's better for us first to actually gather enough mana to play our commander, and only then start to put creatures. Hopefully we will survive till then. Again, the good thing is that we have 25 lives right from the start, so we have time. We have quite a bit of time before we will be able to and of course. So yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to know. So as you see, so I had a question before. Do we want for this commander to be put in an exile, so we have a choice now, or we could put it in a command zone? So if we're going to choose exile, that means that probably opponent is just going to take this out of our, basically take our commander under his or her control. But if we will choose command zone, then of course it's not going to die. That's it. So at some point I will need to choose what to do, and now of course it costs 2 more. So again, each time that we're gonna play commander, I have to pay more. But it's good, we have mana for it. I still hope that opponent is not going to have that many removal. So yeah, good thing that Prison Realm is here, because I needed to test this theory, how it works. Okay, now return target creature you control to its owner hand. So now ideally we need to put as many creatures as possible in order to trigger this thing. Whenever you draw a second card in each turn, put a +1 counter on it. We don't have any drawers. Just the targets controlled by different players. Return those creatures. Yeah, not that. So we need to think. So let's play double elemental combination. Yes. Yes. Also another elemental. Yes. This is actually perfect, so we'll be able to play quite a lot of creatures. Do we have another elementals? Nope, only Faerie and also Fish Octopus. Let's just play Octopus. This is the biggest card that we have. Although we could play 2 creatures instead of 1, but I'd rather put the bigger creature. So yeah, so far so good. But we're still risking a lot. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have a plan on attacking next turn, so the spirit is not that big of a problem for us. So, okay, hopefully I didn't make a mistake by playing this for 4 instead of playing these 2 creatures. The only way that it could become a mistake if opponent would remove our commander from play, and I would miss the opportunity to play more creatures and gain more things. Okay, it's time to put some flyer blockers. And in general, just small creatures. It will give us a lot of mana. Okay, we could actually play this one. So we could force this creature to fight one of these creatures. Ideally, it could be cool to kill something that's pretty dangerous. So we need to kill for 4. Because this card is gonna give us a lot of trouble. Yep, good. So in general, I utilized the strategy of this deck, so we won the first match. So now we're going to play our last match with this deck. Dark Knights +1/+1, pretty cool. So the strategy of this deck is to protect ourselves as long as possible, gain as mana as quick as possible, in order to play our commander. So the whole strategy actually revolves around commander. It's pretty hard, I guess, to win without a commander in play. Because like the previous, at least this is the way that I felt, personally, like in previous decks that we played, I didn't have this dependency feeling towards a commander. I thought, okay, commander is there to basically be a supporter, but it will make my game better if I will put the commander in play, but it doesn't necessarily going to make the game. With this specific deck, I'm feeling the need of utilizing commander as fast as possible. So maybe the same will be for the Faeries, I don't know. Kind of, yeah. Maybe this is just the way that I'm feeling at this point. So we need to put something that enters the battlefield tapped and also give us additional mana of a certain type next turn that we don't have. So that means that it's logically to play this one because it has planes in it. Okay. Next turn we actually still didn't saw how this ability of adventure works. Again, you have to exile this creature in order, I guess, to see how this ability works. We still didn't got there. Do we need additional mana or not? I believe yes. Again, we have to focus on mana gain. All those cards are doing exactly that. The faster we'll gain mana, the better. So again, all cards besides the commander basically help us to play commander as fast as possible and prolong the game as much as possible in order to get there. Whenever one non-human creature you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Deals or deal? Creatures you control deal. Oh, okay. So it's a pretty good kind of... Okay, whatever. Let's just play our commander. Commander first. Let's hope opponent doesn't have any removal for our commander. Opponent has a removal for our commander. So again, we have a choice between an exile zone and between a command zone. I kind of want to choose an exile zone and see whatever happens. But it seems weird and stupid to think to do, because once entering an exile zone, we're not going to be able to return our commander and replay it multiple times. There is a potential of that. So, why would I do that though? Seems logical. So okay, whatever enters the battlefield enters tapped, so it's better to actually choose a guild with a probably green. A lot of green. Oh no, it's not entering the battlefield. Damn it, that was a mistake. Misread how it works. Put it in your hand, not into the battlefield. We could attack with this guy. We're not going to be blocking with them. Yeah, this is quite a problem. Draw a card that will enter the battlefield tapped. So yeah, we're playing against knights, so maybe at least we'll see how knights are working. So again, Knight Commander is not cheap, it's probably the most costly one. So, kind of interesting. Again, opponent probably not going to be able to cast it from the graveyard, of course. So yeah, unfortunately we have to put this one tapped. Again, made a huge mistake. And now it's better to put some defense. We have multiple choices here, either play Commander again. Yeah, let's just play Commander first. Because we could put Maneth and kill Commander. That way opponent not going to be able to play Commander for at least one turn. Because there's just not enough. 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7. Oh, not good. It's quite a lot of damage. Skipping. Yeah, we're going to lose this one. Opponent toughness is equal to the number of lands under your control. It's a pretty big defender. But again, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be able to block. I don't have that many choices here. We'll be able to play only one creature, and it's better be a removal. And let's remove creature with menace, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna die too. Why it looks like I'm still able to play it? I'm not. Yeah. We lost. I lost. Yeah, I made a couple of mistakes. I'm going to be able to survive this, especially with this. Do-do-do-do. So yeah, so again, this is it for this deck. Again, pretty cool deck, but again, it all depends if you have enough lands, and it has a lot of costly creatures, which makes it pretty not easy to utilize them every time. So yeah, we're done with this deck for today. After we will finish playing all decks, I will get back and analyze them a little bit better once we played them. Oh, come on, again, you have to press back button. No, 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 no. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I don't want to play a third. So, Fairies, submit deck. So yeah, let's go to play Fairies now. So Fairies, as I remember, are specialized on flyers in most cases. And besides flyers, oh, Fairies against Fairies. It's gonna be probably a loss. It's gonna be a loss. So, and they specialize on our enchantments, artifacts and equipments. So no creatures in play, but 3 lands and also an interesting combination of things. I mean, it's a risky hand. Let's take it. We have a pretty cheap, the cheapest commander of all. It will potentially allow us to do some good stuff. And also, if we have problems with cards, we could always discard the ones that we don't need. Okay, this is pretty good disabler. We're gonna keep it. One thing that we probably don't want is smooth thing, but this could work. This could work too. Draws additional cards. Why it's exiled? Exile that card from your graveyard, and once we sacrifice it, we will return them from exile to our hand. Yeah, I forgot how this card works. Actually, pretty cool. Okay, now it's better to focus. We don't have any creatures, although next turn we will be able to put a creature in play, and that way we will play put a charge counter on the mace, so it's better to play this. So next turn, ideally, I will play. So far we are ahead. We definitely have card advantage in terms of what we have on the battlefield. So it's time to play it. Faerie. So opponent probably going to use this, if opponent has it. Or this. No, not enough whites. So opponent decides to go with a different route in terms of the strategy. Decline. Gain as much mana as possible first. So we don't need to kill anything. So I have two choices here. Put this one and gain additional life, or put this one and play 2 spells. That's better. Oh no, I made a mistake. Why would I need to play this? Damn it. What else? Let's use this. It's actually better. We'll make our creature stronger. It's gonna get +2. Then we will play this. We'll draw 2 cards. +1. Yeah. +1 equals to the number of counters, so it has only 1. But anything could change. One of the reasons why opponent decides to take this route is probably because opponent has a mass removal. Again, we're playing with the same deck. So it's easy to read it. Good. We got a lot of lands. It also has vigilance because of the artifact. Huh? Not cool. I'm interested what's gonna happen with this commander after this commander will die. Because it lost all of its abilities. No, it's still probably going to work as a commander. Doesn't change the fact that this is a commander. It's still a legendary creature that represents all 3 colors. Although it lost all of its abilities, it's still a commander. Decline. So now I believe we have to take the route of disabling this creature, and then thinking what to play next. Ideally we're just going to put one of the lands that enters the battlefield tapped, probably this guild, and also play this thing to get more mana. And we'll continue to attack with our Again, we don't have any creatures, this is a problem right from the beginning. I took the hand without the creatures, so... As a result, we don't have any creatures. The only creature that we have is our Faerie. Pretty creatureless match from both sides. Bag of holding. I actually had an idea to draw a similar bag, like probably about 5 years ago, maybe, no, less than 5 years ago. I was interested in creating my own cards in Magic, and I actually created a concept, similar concept with the bag. The only difference is the content of the bag itself. And it didn't involve the human in it. It was basically probably hang from the tree or something. Decline. So now we have a choice, either to kill all of our all creatures, including this one, so we will attack first, and then we will think. Opponent decides to skip, which means that this card is important somehow for the opponent. So one of the things that we could do right now is to try and see how this thing works. So again, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact and put 4 counters on it. I kind of want to see how this thing works, and the only thing that is going to work is if after you do exile it. I mean, it means you exile it, so it kind of means that the opponent has to exile it. It's you may then cast the creature later from exile. So I still don't know how this thing works. So one of the tests is to, instead of destroying it, we could kind of exile it. But instead, I will go full-on destruction. How opponent, by the way, created this artifact? Maybe opponent already used this one as a, again, target non-creature artifact you control. But how opponent put this card in exile zone? This is another interesting thing. Did I miss something? I need to review this video later and see how opponent did that, because I might miss something. Because somehow an opponent created this 4/4 creature. So this time I will exile a land. Or something that we're gonna draw. Yeah, we drew land. Additional mana for opponent, not good, but what else? So I need to pay attention to how opponent is doing this. So there is a chance that opponent actually used this one, this adventure, as a sorcery. But again, because how could you explain this creature with treasure with 4/4 on it? Maybe aura? No. So yeah, after this match, I believe I will pause the video and I will review how things are looking. So target player exiles a card from their graveyard. This is one way to exile it. Exile your own card. Yeah, we have have a lot of problems here with lands, so we're probably going to lose this game. Not probably. We still didn't get any creatures throughout the game. This is weird. And this deck actually doesn't have that many creatures. In most cases there's just a lot of cards that could produce creatures, as long as we have... So this deck is pretty dependent on a commander too. Like the last previous deck are the most dependent on the commander, in my opinion. Seems like it. So yeah, now we're going to steal. We have multiple choices. We either be stealing the commander or the smooth thing. Let's steal the commander. More troubles for opponents to play the commander. Now it costs 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent has only 7 mana. Not enough to play commander, unless opponent drew a land. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. We're going to lose a lot of permanents. This is basically a game changer. Hand. This is interesting. Let's choose a hand. I'm kind of I'm interested in what is going to happen. Yeah, when we're actually returning it to hand, we now will be able to play it with a regular basic cost, which is actually pretty cool. So this is another thing in Brawl and Commander formats, that you could manipulate the mana cost of the Commander by basically have cards that will return it back to your hand, which is pretty cool. Interesting thing. So now we're playing Commander cheaper, which is cool. And now I probably will steal this thing by just paying. It gives opponent mana that opponent has troubles with. Let's search for a land. What we need, maybe another blue. So far, so good. Yeah, the match with fairies are pretty weird. I mean, they are interesting, but for some it might become pretty boring. So, since I'm probably going to lose this match, I want to see what's going to happen if we're going to choose an Exile Zone. This is something that I wanted to test, because the whole point of this video is to basically test those abilities. So now we know what's going to happen with Commander if we're going to return it back to our hand. Now, and we know what's going to happen if we're going to return it into Commander Zone. Now it's time to see what's going to happen with the Commander once we will allow opponent to take control of it. Okay. That's it, it's just under opponent's control. It was obvious though, but I wanted to test that. And now the only way how we're going to be able to take back our commander is to basically destroy in this prison realm. Okay. And the same goes for the graveyard. If commander will be put onto our graveyard, it basically again gives us the ability to then return this commander back into our hand first, or play it from put it right away from the battlefield on from the graveyard if we have the ability to do so. As long as you control 4 or more artifacts, this one has hexproof. I don't believe they have 4 artifacts under my control. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, draw a card. We could do that. Okay, okay. We're not losing yet. Although we have more chances of losing because we lost our commander, but still. Again, the whole point of this is to test new cards, test new mechanics. So the adventure mechanic is still unclear for me. But again, after this match I will reveal it, review this match and look through it and see what I missed. Maybe I truly missed something. Super importante. I'm probably going to die. I miscalculated the amount of damage dealt. Probably should block one of the creatures. Yep. Yeah, so ideally we saw every mechanic in play except the adventure mechanic. So yeah, I reviewed the previous video, like the previous match with Faerie schemes, and opponents somehow actually casted this card. I don't know how, because before that, when I had the opportunity to cast these cards with adventure, I wasn't able to choose an adventure for some reason. Maybe I just didn't have a proper amount of mana or whatever, but apparently opponent used this adventure like right away. Card was in opponent's hand, and opponent basically casted this card first by choosing an artifact. Then this artifact became a +1/+4, like +4/+4, basically 4/4 artifact, and then opponent played this Faerie card right away from the graveyard. Not from the graveyard, but from the exile zone. So you may cast this card as an adventure after you do exile it. So apparently we have to choose the adventure, then exile it, and then we will be able to cast it. But it wasn't clear because the ability is not choosable. It's kind of grayed out, so it means like it's probably we're not able to play it. So apparently it's just simple. It works by just casting it from the hand. Then we will put it into exile, and then from exile we could play a creature. So, which is actually pretty awesome. So hopefully we will be able to test this card in our remaining matches. So ideally we have to win one more match. So hopefully we do win one. So this is going to be the last match with this deck. Hopefully we're going to win this match. If not, then we either will continue to play with this deck, or I will revisit all decks and we will go through them and see did we cover all mechanics and abilities or not. It's a pretty risky hand to take, but I guess it works. I mean, we have artifacts that we could exile, we had our creature, we had mace. It's actually pretty similar to what we had before, previous game. But with more creatures. Not good. Not good. Oh, damn it. My jaw is out of a place. It's quite painful. We have to attack because next turn opponent is just going to sacrifice his goblin and probably kill us. So let's just attack. So next turn we will be able to play Faerie, our commander, and then we'll see what will happen. So the only so-called undiscovered ability that we left off with is the adventure ability. I saw how opponent use it. It doesn't seem problematic to play it from the hand as an adventure. But when I tried to play it as an adventure myself, it didn't work. Maybe because I just misunderstood something. So at that time, so I'm gonna have to. Yeah, so each time that we gonna cast Commander, so again, the same will go for the graveyard if we will decide to put a Commander into our graveyard. But if we're gonna decide to do so, we need to have a plan how to return it. The same as we decided in previous match to allow opponent to exile it. Again, if we have a plan to release it from the exile, we could make sure that after exile opponent, like this commander will return under our owner control when we wouldn't have to play it, like the additional cost. So because yeah, so each time that commander will be back into a command zone, we have to pay additional 2 and maybe even more each time. Okay, so let's go with this. Still don't know how to properly play this. Let's go draw cards. Just 2 cards in the graveyard. Now Exile Zone has 1 card. It's actually pretty cool that they decided to add this hovering statistics. Previous Magic games, like Duels of Planeswalkers, had a similar way of displaying this type of statistic. You hover over and you present it with understanding how many cards you have in our hand, but probably they probably were much more consistent, not just like appearing and disappearing. Okay, we need to think. So ideally, if we don't want to allow opponents to use this priest and go through additional sacrificing, probably would do this. Seems like a good idea. So now opponent not able to use a activated ability here. So and now we have kind of a choice, either to put this land in play and put this creature in play, or put this one and gain lots of mana. Let's do gain lots of mana. That's an interesting one. Let's keep it. We have kind of more than enough mana. This card is pretty weird here. I don't know like how it works. I mean, it's a good thing. Maybe. Like, I don't necessarily understand how it works in this deck. What it helps with. because there's not that many cards that work with the graveyard. Okay, so now we're able to play it. So what it does, so it gives all of our artifact creatures flying at the beginning of combat on your turn. You may have one creature artifact you control become a 0/0 creature. If you do, put 4 counters on it. It's actually pretty cool. We could do that. It's actually quite decent defender. Because playing a commander at this point kind of seems weird. Let's go with Artificer. And we choose this. Oh. Yes. Now we have a pretty cool card that we could attack with. So again, pretty interesting deck. It's not that like that easy deck as I would thought of it. Like the second deck with sacrificing. Again, the easiest and the most linear deck seems like a Knight deck. The deck that works with food, once you understand how it works, and sacrificing, it's again relatively simple. But again, you have to think what to sacrifice, what not to sacrifice. Fairies are not linear either. Although you could say that they're linear, I don't know. I believe this is a provocation. Yeah, kind of missed this card. That's fine. I wouldn't want to turn those artifacts into creatures. It's pretty high risk to lose them as creatures. They work better as a regular equipment. I don't necessarily control that many artifacts. So yeah, this is quite cool. Don't want to forget to tap 2 artifacts and draw additional card. Whenever you control dies, you gain 1 life and you draw a card. Cool. Yay! So now we kind of have a lot of interesting choices. So let's bring Commander. And also play a creature. It could be a good idea to actually put this artifact in play and steal something out there, but let's just not do that and continue to press. Pressing. So now opponent has a balance of gaining and losing life each turn. But we still have more creatures than opponent, so unless opponent will get a mass removal, which I believe this deck has. So yeah, this deck based on sacrificing actually quite cool. It seems kind of chaotic because there's a lot of sacrificing things and amassing and yep, we won our last match. So yeah, again, the more we would play, the harder for the opponents to basically defend himself or herself. So we won. our last 4 copies. So ideally, the last thing that we have to test, and until we're going to go through the stats, we're not going to finish playing. So we're going to just choose each deck. So this is was our last test of Faerie schemes. So now we're going to get back to the knights, and we will play with each deck until we're going to get to the card with adventure ability, and until we're going to be able to play it. So because this is the only ability that I didn't test it myself. So let's get back to the deck choosing. So again, we went through the event, we earned all things, which is pretty cool. So now I believe these cards in my collection. So if I will go and create my own deck, ideally now they are in my collection. So standard, traditional standard, regular standard, traditional standard, I believe it's a new standard. Let's go sets. Of course, we're not going to be able to choose a new set. It's not here anymore, or yet. Seriously, in Russian. Adventure. Yeah, the card with adventure, we don't have actually cards with adventure. So we need to search for a specific card. So let's just look at the specific name for the card. So we got this card, I believe. Order of Midnight. So let's just go into our decks and search for an order. Black. No, we actually don't have it in our collection. I don't know how it works then, like how we will be able to play those cards if we don't have them in our collection and we're not able to put them into our deck. It seems weird. The question stands. Like if we're getting those cards into our collection, why they're not appearing in our collection? Maybe I'm not searching the right way. So again, those cards are only legal in standard 220 events, maybe only in events, until September 26th, and then in additional formats and events afterwards. So apparently, I don't know. I still don't know how we could use those cards. We'll get there. Either way, so yeah, let's just continue with figuring out, did we actually tested everything that we needed? So in terms of the knights, I mean, we got to the point when we could use when I could use equipments for 0. I just missed this. Also, the only thing that we didn't try is the adventure ability. This is the only ability that basically is still untried, and hopefully Knights will give us that because it has a lot of cards with that ability. And in general, this mechanic or the dynamic of the Knight's Charge deck is pretty simple. And again, it's a pretty straightforward deck. Probably the easiest to play. So let's just go with Knights and play with Knights until we will get the adventure card. So, but before that, let's just check if we truly covered everything. So in our second deck, we did get to utilizing the ability, the commander's ability, and every time that we sacrifice the permanent, either by attacking with other creatures or by sacrificing your permanent, this commander got +1/+1 counter and we drew a card, which is pretty cool. We also discovered what a food counter is. It's basically, as I remember properly, an artifact that by paying 4 and tapping it, we will be able to gain 3 life. So basically the food token allows us to gain 3 life, if I'm not mistaken. What else we didn't... what else we covered or not? The rest I believe we covered. The rest is actually quite simple. Yep, most of the cards we tested. Cool. In Wild Bunny, I believe we tested everything that we could too. So again, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. So this one is the most command-driven deck, I believe, because it kind of forces us to gain a lot of lands in order to utilize Commander as fast as possible, and then produce a lot of lands, gain mana advantage, and basically destroy opponent with big spells. So, like, without it, it's pretty weak and pretty slow. Although we have a couple of cards that actually could return stuff. The only thing that I didn't do is I didn't return a lot of creatures, and I also didn't use one card in a night, not in a night deck, in the Faerie deck that basically returns all cards. But we saw opponent use it on us, so... And 1/1. So yeah, most of the mechanics and cards were actually used. I kind of like to play with this deck. It's pretty interesting. And in Fairies, again, we utilized the fact that other creatures get +1 once Fairy was in play. Whenever you casted an artifact, every time created a blue Fairy with flying. We saw opponent use this one on us. We saw opponent put this one on one of her creatures. We also saw this card utilized right from the hand, which forces me to believe that this ability is actually used pretty simple way, which is a good thing. Yeah, almost everything. The only card that we didn't saw in the game is this, but again, it just allows us to look at the top 4 cards of our library and reveal an artifact or enchantment card, and that's it. We use this one. So yeah, I talked about this artifact. This is the only instant that I didn't use, but again, it's relatively simple. It just returns target non-land permanents to its owner's hands, and for that you will create a 2/2 knight creature token with vigilance, and you will be able to copy this card thrice, basically 3 times or twice. So basically use it 3 times in general if you control an enchantment and artifact. So it kind of duplicates itself, which is pretty cool. And also we played this one, which is pretty cool. Probably shouldn't block with it. Unfortunately, it was destroyed. Shouldn't attack with it. That way we could continue to produce a lot of artifacts with tokens. So yeah, the whole idea of having where is it? This card right here that constantly will produce treasure tokens that we could potentially turn into +1/+1 times 4 creatures, basically for 4 creatures. Yeah, my brain is dying for some reason. It's pretty late. Let's just wrap up quickly or slowly. So yeah, that's it. So the last thing that we're gonna do is just basically play with the Knight's Charge until we're going to utilize the adventure ability. This is the most adventurous deck because it has the most cards with adventure ability, and we're basically going to play until we already finished with the event. We tested all decks. It's pretty sick, pretty cool. We figured out the formats in general, like how Brawl works. Most of the rules of the Brawl, again, the rules of the Brawl are similar to the regular match, except the ability to free mulligan if you don't like what you see, which we will do. Okay, it's a little bit better. but the problem is that we don't have immediate lands, but still. So yeah, the ability to take free mulligan, right away we're starting the game with revealed commanders, so we have to reveal the commander around which we build the deck. We could choose as a commander, ideally, any legendary creature. It doesn't matter how many colors this legendary creature has, but most of the only rule is we have to... So basically, the commander that we're choosing is going to create restrictions in colors for our deck. So if we choose a color commander, that means that we will be able to put only this specific color in our deck. So we will be restricted by this color. So this is the only problem with a commander format that basically kind of shifts the rules and bends them a little bit. So if we have a commander with 3 colors, we only able to put cards with the specific colors or artifacts. Let's just focus on mana for now. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. So, at the beginning of your player loses 4 or more lives. Your opponent's not going to lose 4 lives with that. Stay in defense. So yeah, what else about the commander? What I could remember. So again, at the beginning of the game, you will reveal a commander. You have to do this. It basically right away sets the colors that your deck has. So you're not able to add any different type of colors. If you want to add 4 colors, you have to choose a legendary creature as a commander that has 4 colors. If you have to add 5 colors in your deck, you have to choose a commander that represents 4 colors. It's questionable what if you choose a legendary creature that doesn't have any colors in it, which means that probably you're not able to play, like to put cards with color. That means that you're probably going to be able to play only colorless cards, to put only colorless cards in your deck. But this is questionable. This is something that we need to figure out at some point. I'm not 100% sure about it. We're going to attack with... No, we're not going to attack. What else? So, another rule about the commander. Again, the first time that we play any commander from Commander Zone, we have a additional cost 0, so we're paying only the amount that creature is the original mana cost, and each time that commander will get to the Commander Zone throughout the game, the mana cost gets bigger and bigger each time. I'm not sure how much, like the first time that commander gets into the command zone, the next time that we will be able to activate him or her, we'll pay additional 2, then probably additional 2 again, or additional 4. It all depends. I kind of missed that thing. Probably should pay more attention to it. How it attached? Oh, attached to target knight you control. A creature has more defense. Now we'll attack with all of them. It's kind of a bait. We have a buff. It's kind of an interesting question. Let's put all our efforts into making this one bigger, instead of protecting a token creature soldier that isn't knight. So yeah, what else about the commander? Interesting way of every time that someone is targets your commander and tries to destroy it, we have a choice to do both. Either allow opponent to destroy it, which means that it's going to get will be placed in our graveyard, and in order to bring it back from the graveyard, of course, if we make this choice, we have to have a plan to return it back. If opponent decides to exile our commander with something like Conclave Tribunal, we also have to have a plan by returning this commander onto the battlefield by destroying this enchantment, which will also allow us to keep commander in play without paying additional cost each time that it's going to enter a command zone. So again, each time that we will basically place commander into our command zone, its cost will increase. Oh snap, this is pretty bad. We need to defend ourselves. So yeah, we saw opponent played that one. What else about the commander? Yes, and it all depends, like again, you have multiple choices how to create a commander deck. You could choose a commander that's specific for the commander format, such as these guys. They are quite specific for a commander type. Because they have a lot of things. You're probably not going to choose a legendary creature that doesn't have anything specific. So this one, for instance, like built for a commander deck creature because it works with knights and with equipments. This one kind of began built for the commander deck. Not every card ideally built for the commander deck, but it doesn't restrict you from choosing those legendary creatures to make them your commander. So the format itself is pretty interesting. I never played it. I know, like I imagine its potential. Oh snap, now finally we will be able to play this, hopefully. So yeah, now we need to try to use this one as a regular thing. So again, Sorcery Adventure. So now ideally we will be able to play it. You gain life and each opponent lose X life, where X is the number of knights you control. So if we're going to use this one right away, and we will be able to do this. Yeah, we'll play it. It's superb. And now we will be able to play it from exile. Super cool. Cool. And now we're going to put this one on this one in order to get life back, and we'll stay in defense. Yeah, we have troubles with lands. It's pretty obvious. We still didn't get to our commander. Again, this is the heaviest commander from Alex available for us at this point. So yeah, the potential of creating a commander deck is pretty cool. I like right now what I'm talking about is the actual commander standard, commander format. For the Brawl, it's a little bit different because you kind of are limited in the amount of commanders and legendary creatures that you could choose. There is a potential that there are more restrictions in a commander set, in a commander format than, well, more restrictions in the Brawl format than in the commander format. But basically, as I properly remember, the Brawl is not that different from the commander. It's slightly different in the standard aspect. So Brawl only works within the standard. This is probably the only difference of the Brawl from... pretty cool. So now we have to attack with 4/1 in order to gain life. We kind of don't have a choice. Also gonna equip our knight that we're going to attack with in order for it not to be killed right away, although opponent is still going to kill it. So yeah, we use the adventure ability, so basically it works exactly that way. You will be able to play this as a sorcery adventure from your game, from your hand, and then you will also, it's quite contradictory, we're going to lose 1 life and gain 5. Yeah, this commander is actually quite a game changer if we have a lot of equipments in play. It's pretty cool. Still not going to be able to block 5/3. I'm probably going to die next turn. Especially if opponent is going to remove one of our creatures. So yeah, this is going to be our last match. We tested everything that we wanted. Like, I wanted to use this thing and see how it works, so it actually works exactly that way. So he would be able to play this card not only as a creature, but first as a sorcery, and then play it as a creature once this card goes into exile with its regular cost, which is actually pretty cool. So it's kind of a pretty unique card. It's pretty weird that this card is actually common. But again, it's still pretty cool. The small pedestal for the cards are pretty interesting looking. So yeah, we're getting to the end of this video. Once we will finish this match, regardless of losing or winning, I got everything that I wanted out of it. I don't want to make this recording super big. It's already going to be about probably 2 hours or something like this, which is unplanned. Ideally, I would keep unscheduled special videos for... Okay, this is interesting. And it's like, seriously? How this card became so big? Oh, because of this angelic exaltation. Quite annoying one. Ugh. I wish we were able to... We actually will be able to do this. But it would be much cooler. Funny thing is that if we're going to attack right now, we're going to kill ourselves. So, yeah. The stupid thing is that first we're killing ourselves and only then we will be able to gain life, so it's kind of a contradictory thing. It would be much more cooler if we would attack first and then we would lose life, but again, in this particular instance, like, we had 2 creatures with lifelink, we could gain 10 lives and basically regain control. If we had 1 more life in our possession, we would probably survive, or a couple of lives more. So yeah, that's it for the format. It's pretty cool format again. If you are interested in learning much more quicker the rules about this format, basically check this. Like, I kind of open it, I want to read the actual rules for the standard, about the brawl. Yeah, here's that information. So basically, brawl is... The brawl deck basically has 1 commander, any legendary creature or planeswalker from a set currently in standard could be chosen as a commander. 59 other cards also from sets currently in standard that share color identity with your commander. The way, like, again, they have to represent all those 3 colors. Only 1 copy of any card except for basic lands. So yeah, this is one of the things that I kind of missed. Yes, which is actually pretty cool. So it kind of works similar to Singleton, which is one of my favorite formats. When you have 1 copy of each card, it's super interesting to play personally for me. Again, color identity goes with the card. Color identity is not unique. It's not quite the same as a card's color. It can come from any part of that card, including its casting cost and any mana symbol in its rules text. This is actually interesting. Every card in your brawl deck must only use mana symbols that also appear in your commander. Yeah, and colorless cards are allowed in any deck, of course. The command zone itself, so again, this is a special game zone where your commander resides when it's not in play. It's completely different from exile, of course, and other zones. Each commander starts the game face up in its controller's command zone. A commander can be cast from the command zone as though it were in your hand for its normal cost, plus an additional 2 mana for each previous time it's been cast from the command zone this game. informally known as the command text. Yeah, so basically you play commander text in order to continue to play commander and reuse it multiple times, which is logical. If your commander would change zones, be put into your library, hand, graveyard, or exile from anywhere, you may return it to your command zone instead. Yeah, so again, the way to save a commander from being destroyed. But it's if not permanent, it could be used as a strategy to return it for a cheaper cost and without paying additional commander tax, which is pretty cool. Starting a game with 3 or more players, start at 30 life. For some reason we started with 20 life. With only 2 players you start with 25. Yeah, that explains that. So I remember that you have to start with 30 life, but if you play only 2 players, then 25 life. So this is the reason why we started with 25. So, and with 3 more, the first mulligan is a 7 cards, then each mulligan afterwards results in 1 fewer cards, 6, 5, and 4. Okay, so it's not the same as a London mulligan rule. So London mulligan is not applied here. So the new mulligan is not applied here, it works an old way. So because of this, the first mulligan is basically free. All commanders start in their command zone. Commanders can be cast from their mana cost plus 2 more for each time they've been put back into command zone. Less players, standing wins, of course. Eldraine Courtside Brawl Event information, and that's it. So yeah, that's it. So pretty cool. So that means that most of the commander rules are actually I understood well. The only thing that I kind of missed is one copy for each card, which was actually quite clear once we looked for the decks. I just basically disregarded that fact. And since I didn't mulligan less than 7 cards, we didn't saw the regular rule of mulligan, and that's it. Like the rest is like the color identity is quite complex subject, because as we read in the text, that like the card's color identity is not quite the same as a card's color. Like it can come from any part of that card, including its casting cost and any mana symbol in its rules text, which is kind of an interesting thing. So apparently, if card, of course, if this is an artifact, then you will be able to put it in your kind of thing, like colorless cards. But it's interesting if you will be able or not to put a card, for instance, artifact card, that has a specific mana symbol in it. Like, you will be able to put it into your deck or not? This is still a question. So for instance, if you have an artifact that has, for instance, blue in it, you might not be allowed to put this into this commander deck, because this commander doesn't have a doesn't represent this color identity, so it basically contradicts the color identity. So this is quite an interesting thing that ideally we will only figure out once we will play more Brawl matches, but unfortunately in this event we're not able to add new cards in our deck. So yeah, once Brawl becomes a much more permanent format in Magic, which hopefully will be the case at some point, and it's not going to cost that much, because like one of the reasons why I'm not able to play, for instance, Draft, because it's pretty costly, so it's not just a regular play, although I would play Draft myself. It's a pretty cool format. So the same for Singleton. Like most of the time Singleton is one of my favorite formats. The second one is probably is gonna be Brawl or Commander, mostly Commander, because Brawl is limited by standard and I love to play with extended library of cards, so Commander is probably now is going to be my second favorite after Singleton. And then of course Draft is pretty cool too, but again, unfortunately it's pretty costly, and as a free-to-play player it's just hard to gain enough gold and test out the format and not lose the value that you put into it. because the only value that we as a free-to-play players have is time. So, and it's quite valuable. So yeah, this is it for our Eldraine Courtside Brawl. It was pretty cool event. I had fun with it. It was pretty sick. We tested all 4 decks, played them twice each, and one additional time we played our Knight's Charge. So eventually we played basically how many matches? We have 4 decks times 2, 8, and then plus 1, 9 matches overall, if I'm right at math at this point, because it's pretty late and I'm tired and I want to sleep. So yeah, on that note, I guess we're gonna finish this thing. So again, I will upload this video after it will be ready. Usually these special YouTube specials are usually uploaded on if I will create them, of course, uploaded on weekends. But maybe I will make an exception and actually upload it on Friday. So we'll see. So on that note, we will end the session. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and have a nice day or night. And see you in the next one. Bye bye.